Hello, hello. Welcome back to Let's Talk Entertainment News. Several years ago, when streaming hit the scene, it seemed like one of the great promises of the new format would be the mobility, the lack of bundles, the lack of getting stuck with things that you don't want, the ability to pick and choose and get in and get out really quickly. But apparently Disney says fuck that to Sling TV's new idea of a very tiny micro packages where you could buy access to the platform for, say, a day or for a weekend or for a week. So we're going to talk about this lawsuit that Disney has launched against Sling here in just a moment. Before we do, just a quick reminder. We do have one rule around here, which is to be kind if you choose to join us in the comment section below. We don't demand that you agree with us, but you do have to be kind and get along with your fellow posters. So, all right then. Yeah, it sounded too good to be true, and it may be, but I'm not convinced that Disney's going to win this lawsuit because it seems awful specific. I have no legal background, but I doubt somehow that there was some clause in the contract that said that they couldn't do this because, well, I don't think they'd thought of this, but the Walt Disney Company is suing Dish Network's digital subsidiary Sling TV, alleging that the pay TV service included in its networks, without permission, a new suite of short-term packages. Earlier this month, Sling unveiled passes, offering access to its full bundle for a day, a weekend, or a full week. The mini bundles start at $4.99, a fraction of the usual minimum of $45.99 a month for a regular Sling subscription. They were rolled out at the start of the college football and NFL seasons, as many consumers are taking stock of viewing options. Sling TV's new offerings, which they made available without our knowledge or consent, violate the terms of our existing licensing agreement, a Disney spokesperson said in a statement provided to Deadline. We have asked the court to require Dish to comply with our deal when it distributes our programming. See, I just don't buy this because it seems to me like any contract you sign would have involved what is your cut of the proceeds? And quite frankly, although, yes, $45 a month is more than, say, $4 for a weekend, I'm pretty sure if you do the math, you're actually making more profit in the short term. And, of course, I think that what this does more than anything is that people who are already subscribing for a full month, those people are probably not going to change their habits. That is their TV service. That is their primary TV service. However, these limited deals offer a low-cost entry point for people who aren't already subscribed to the platform. People perhaps can't afford the platform. People who just want to check the platform out here and there. And I think it's all positive. I don't see Disney's claim here that there's a negative. And they're going to have to, of course, sell that idea in court if it goes to that. Furthermore, I think regardless of what happens in this case, I think that it does open the door for the next platform to offer the deal. They'll go through the proper channels, make sure the proper deals are in place. But when somebody else begins offering options like this, I think that it's going to open up a big door. And it's going to finally allow streaming to fulfill the promise of its beginnings, which was, the low-cost mobility, no contracts, no long-term commitments like contracts, and all of that, and the ability to get what you want and not be saddled with hundreds or even thousands of additional channels that you have no desire at all to consume. In the suit, which was filed Tuesday evening in U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York, Disney alleges that Sling never once consulted the media giant about the move, and I just don't necessarily know that they would have to consult them. The incremental packages have the potential to alter the TV landscape by giving consumers an easy on and off ramp to access programming. How horrible. Beyond sports, it also could have implications for award shows like the Oscars or other entertainment or news programming. I just don't see any downside here. Giving people the option to sign up to see the show that they want to watch when they otherwise were not already signed up, it's all positive. The level of intentionally elevated churn that could result from the micro bundles contradicts decades of precedent in the pay TV business where 2-year contracts long prevailed. I'm been subscribed to Spectrum for decades and no contracts. Only in the streaming era have these long-term agreements, complete with cumbersome physical equipment, started to ease. Nevertheless, programmers still look for operators to offer their content for at least a month. Well, I would say if you want to prevent churn, you need to offer more content and better content. I think that seems like the obvious solution. The only streaming service that I really use yearly, not all year long, but at some point every year I do subscribe to Disney Plus. And even in the case of Disney Plus, I do my yearly watch through of the Marvel MCU, a couple of old classic movies that I like, as well as some of the Star Wars stuff, and I'm done. You just do not offer enough content. And the thing is, more recently, they've been offering bundles even across ownership platforms, bundling with Max and things like that. And all the data that I've seen suggests that is, in fact, reduced churn. And what it does is it just reveals the whole problem of standalone streaming packages, which is that any one of these streaming channels, very rarely do they offer enough content to occupy somebody for an entire year. They are not an adequate replacement for the traditional television package. Hence why things like Hulu TV, YouTube TV, Sling TV, these packages all exist to fill that void. They are actually more adequate replacements for traditional cable television than, say, the standalone streaming services. Sling's new initiative is its latest jab at the status quo through the pay TV operations inside parent company EchoStar have dwindled. Amid a strategic pivot to the wireless telecom business, about a decade ago, the company launched the Hopper, a DVR that automatically skipped ads, while the new offering delighted many customers, its alienated network owners, and their advertisers. Oh, and I should add that with the amount of advertising that is now being sort of jammed into these streaming services, it seems like they're probably double dipping anyway. They want your money from subscriptions, but they also want to force you to use ads, to see ads when formerly they are offering only ad free. Charlie Egren, who co-founded Dish and is chairman of EchoStar's board of directors, was known for his pugnacious and erratic approach to negotiating carriage deals. When he directly oversaw Dish as CEO, Sling currently does not carry CBS as a result of that aggressive stance, and prominent networks like HBO and Univision have gone dark for long periods, sometimes permanently, as Dish has taken a hard line with programmers. Those who have done business with Dish and Sling in recent years say Egren's imprint is still readily apparent in the many other companies' decisions. Yeah, so what you don't like is that, in this case, the company is playing hardball on behalf, I would say, of the audience rather than the creators of the content. So, yeah, interesting development. I'm going to be watching this, from the corner of my eye as it develops. Many cases, these things don't actually go to court. Perhaps they offer Disney another % or something, and they work it out. Because I think inevitably, this model is going to be the model, as long as sort of the economic condition of the world continues on the path that it is, where there are more and more competitions for people's eyeballs and for their money, but the money is being spread thinner and thinner. And eventually they're going to learn that they can't do this. They can't keep raising prices because not a lot of people are seeing increases in their amount of disposable income. So, yeah, there you have it, guys. Tell me what you think in the comments section below. And if you are interested in hearing more from me, continue on for a few more minutes with me on the brand new Aftershow. Hello. Thank you for hanging around. This is the Aftershow. I think this is the second or third episode. And I'm not going to talk about streaming. I'm not going to talk about the recent story with Sling that I just discussed earlier in the video. What I'm going to do today is give you a little bit of biographical background on myself. If you've been around the channel for any amount of time, you may have been able to glean who I am from that information. But here it is all in one place off the top of my head for today. Next time I plan to come back and give you more biographical information, but it's more of like a story of my life in as a consumer of the arts and entertainment. So that's coming next, and that also leads into sort of how this channel came about a decade ago. So who am I? My name is Brian Kunkel. I was born and raised in northeastern Pennsylvania, a very rural area, very small town area. Seems like we are 4 hours from everything. Imagine that. What a geographical oddity, right? But I grew up out in the countryside, surrounded by fields and forests. That's where I played as a kid growing up. and you'd spend from dawn to dusk outside, only coming in when you needed something to eat. I remember playing in the woods, building forts. We had a pond to swim in, no swimming pool. We mowed a couple of acres. We had a large garden. And at night, you could see more stars than I've ever seen in my lifetime since. And you couldn't see the light of the nearest neighbor. That's how sort of isolated we were. Went to a small high school, which I graduated from in 2000. It's about 12 or 13 miles from the house that I grew up in, which is quite a haul when you consider the bus routes at the time. So basically, we would get up before the crack of dawn in most instances and have like a 2-hour ride to cover 12 miles as the crow flies, but actually many, many more miles because of the bus routes. And I very early realized that I would have an interest in writing, and that led me to a small central Pennsylvania college for 4 years, where I did get my bachelor's degree in 2004. And after college, very soon after college, my mother and father got divorced. My other sisters were already off, beginning their lives elsewhere. And so me being the youngest of the family, had a responsibility towards my mother, and of course we sort of had a stronger bond because of sort of the situations in the home that sort of led us to making that decision to leave. And so that led me 30 or 40 miles north of where I grew up, but still in small town Pennsylvania, although it's a bigger town than I've ever lived in, except minus during college. But and that's where I've been for the last 20 years, for at least half of that I've spent running this YouTube channel, but I also, in between jobs and writing, I also spent quite a bit of time trail running. I spent a great many years running, training hard. Now I'm getting a little bit fat, haven't been in shape in a few years. So that occupied a lot of my time, and of course, all that outdoor time sort of connected me with my childhood, and so, so I'm not your apparently average entertainment YouTuber who seems to be living in cities. They seem to be living in the suburbs. They have a lot more access to movie theaters and to entertainment outlets. And so, out here you spend a lot of time occupying your own self. So that's how I came to be here. But we're going to talk about that probably on the next episode. I'll describe how being in a rural setting sort of limited our options and our exposure to entertainment, but it did increase my access to books and to imagination and to occupying my own self and sort of being creative, and sort of how that rural upbringing also brought a lot of naturalistic ideas into my writing, into my ideas, into who I am. But that's for another day. So there you are. That is who I am, a rural boy, doing this YouTube video thing since 2011, I think now. So yeah, it's been a while. Thank you, and I'll see you again on the next episode.